Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hey, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you're all having a good day so far. Can we just talk for a second about how both political parties are effing, well, I guess I can't say the R word this early in the stream. They will demonetize me immediately. Both political parties are, let's say a different R word, ridiculous. I don't know when the world, or even I would just settle for, maybe 20% of the country, I suppose, to wake up to the fact that both political parties are incompetent. Yes, special. They are, that is a great word, Nick. That is probably one of the most appropriate words. Both political parties are special. They are both the same level of special. One is not more special than the other. Both special. And today we are going to talk about how both are special. And there is some polling data that started coming out last week. And then there was another poll today that just like, you look at both sides and you're like, clowns to my left and jokers to my right. And yet still people will lower themselves to vote for these people for reasons past my understanding. I got to tell you guys, as things stand right now, I don't think I'm going to be voting in 2024, like at all. The only candidate that right now I could actually see myself voting for is Vivek Ramaswamy. That's it. And it's not because I agree with Vivek on everything, because I do not agree with Vivek on everything. But I think that Vivek is extraordinarily competent. I think he's extraordinarily smart. I trust him. I think he knows his stuff better than anyone. The problem is, I don't actually think he's going to get the nomination, although he may have a path to it. It would be wonderful if he did. Trump was singing his praises. There, he was like, Trump released this statement that was like, Vivek Ramaswamy is so nice to me. And he's like, good luck to Vivek. He's going to need it. But Vivek is so nice to me, and Vivek doesn't shit talk me like the other candidates do. And so maybe Vivek is lining up a VP position. But can you see Vivek Ramaswamy being a VP under Donald Trump? I sure as shit can't. Absolutely not. Vivek Ramaswamy would have, because like the thing of it is like the VP role is so do nothing. It's called, like, Benjamin Franklin called the vice president his superfluous excellency. Like, it doesn't actually do anything. And I can't see Vivek Ramaswamy accepting a role where he would have to like stand like do basically the Mike Pence thing where he would stand behind Donald Trump and like smile and like look longingly at Trump anytime Trump is doing anything. Mike Pence was always there looking over Trump's shoulder, just like looking longingly and lovingly at Trump. Vivek Ramaswamy is not going to do that. No, Vivek in person, like that's kind of just Vivek's style. I don't like it's just kind of like who he is. That's his demeanor. But like it does come across differently in person, I think, than it does on camera. But I think you do have a point there, Stephen. Anyway, my advice to anyone is to make people earn your vote. And if they don't earn your vote, then don't effing vote for them. Stop voting for the lesser of two evils, because the lesser of two evils is still evil, and you are still voting for do nothing politicians. And you're going to go, but then the Democrats would win. So what? So what? Like, are things any better when your Republicans win that do absolutely nothing? So today, one of the things that we're going to look at is some polling that's come out. We're going to look at a couple different polls. Let me just give you the overview of what we're going to talk about. The first set of polls we're going to look at came out from CBS and YouGov last week, and my friend Jeff on the right, reported on it. And well, it makes Republicans look stupid. And Republicans, I'm sorry, look like they are what this poll makes Republicans look like is that the entire Republican strategy for winning elections is quite literally to own the libs. That is the entire Republican strategy moving forward, apparently, to own the libs, to piss the libs off. Oh, great. Great. What could possibly go wrong? But that's not to say that things are any better on the Democratic side of things, because apparently the whole of America, or at least the majority, have come to their senses that, guys, just a suspicion. I think Joe Biden might have dementia. Does anyone else think that Joe Biden has dementia? I think he might have dementia. I tell this story all the time, so some of my regulars have heard it, but I saw Joe Biden in person during the 2020 primary when I was still a Democrat back in the day. And by the way, did you guys know there's a picture of me floating around Twitter today with Pete Buttigieg that I took in like 2019 when I was still a Democrat. And the conservatives are so like stupid that they're like, ew, Carolyn is a leftist. Look at this photo of her and Pete Buttigieg. And I'm like, did you miss the memo that I was a Democrat for 20 years? Like, like you really think this is some sort of gotcha that I have a photo of Pete Buttigieg that's like still on my Instagram to this day? Like, way to go, Republicans. You really showed me. Anyway, so back then when I was and because I was like relatively politically involved in the 2020 Democratic primary, because I was a Democrat. This is when I was red pilling, was during the Democratic primary. And one of the things that happened is I went to the New Hampshire Democratic Party meeting, in which every single presidential candidate, the whole clown car, every single one of them came and spoke to this huge arena full of people. And I was sitting in the back of the arena doing my knitting, and it was great. I spent a full day knitting and just listening to politicians. Joe Biden was the very first politician to speak to us that day. It was like 9:00 in the morning, 9:30 in the morning. So he had no excuse. He was nice and fresh, should have gotten a good night's sleep. Well, He got up in front of everyone and was slurring his words and wasn't making sense. And I still have the notes from that day on my Facebook page because I posted my thoughts about it at the time. And I literally said, Joe Biden has dementia. Like from this is back from when he was campaigning for the 2020 nomination before the New Hampshire primary had even happened. And well, dementia, yes, sin, yes, sin. That photo is very old, and I'm not shy about it. Yes, I took a photo with Pete Buttigieg. Guess what? Do you know what's even so funny about them using the photo of Pete Buttigieg against me? Is I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. You guys ready? You guys ready? There's also a picture of me with Elizabeth Warren. There is a picture of me with Elizabeth Warren where I'm wearing one of my shawls, and it's literally right next to the picture of with me with Pete Buttigieg on my Instagram, and they skipped over the picture of me with Elizabeth Warren, which I actually think is like much more incriminating than the picture with Pete Buttigieg, but they skip over that one. They ignore that one. And I didn't even like Elizabeth Warren when I went to the event. I just went to go. And then I was like, I'm here. Why don't I get a selfie? That's kind of like Elizabeth Warren's thing. Maybe she's going to be president someday. That'd be kind of cool. And, but there is a picture of me with Elizabeth Warren that they ignore all the time because, yep, bots already found it. It exists. Anyway, even back in the day, I knew Joe Biden had dementia, but the thing about dementia is that it accelerates over time, and I think we've been seeing the dementia accelerating lately, and it looks as though the majority of Americans have caught up to the reality that Joe Biden is probably unfit to continue to serve as president. Not that we want President Kamala or anything, but that's happening, and we're going to watch a video about that from what is this, George Stephanopoulos, talking about that as well. And then I want to turn to our favorite topic of education. If my computer wants to cooperate, hang on, we're in slow mo now. Oh shit. Hang on. I don't know why my computer's not cooperating. Why am I frozen? Why am I in slow motion? Excellent. But we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how the Colorado Teachers Union passed a resolution declaring capitalism inherently exploits children. Am I still live, guys? Can you still hear me? Is everything okay? Did things correct itself? Hang on. I know the YouTube is a little delayed. I'm going to wait for confirmation that everything is okay. I apologize. I don't know what the hell's going on with my computer today. Guys, if you want to donate money to get me a new computer, you can do that by becoming a member of my Substack. That'd be okay. We're good now. Excellent. We'll talk about the Substack in a second. So we're going to talk about how the Colorado Teachers Union has gone full mask off, totally Marxist. That's great. And we're gonna watch this clip from what used to be one of my favorite shows back in the day. We're talking like 20 effing years ago. I used to love Sam Cedar. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. This is another Democrat confession. When I was just out of college and I kind of considered myself a progressive. This is back when I was like 23, 24, 25 years old, back in the days of yore. I loved Sam Cedar. I did. I watched Sam Cedar every single day. I watched him religiously. If I didn't see him live, I would catch up later. I subscribed to the Majority Report. I did. And I didn't realize, I truly didn't realize that they were Marxists. I didn't understand. Now I do. So we're going to watch this clip from the Majority Report that explains what the bourgeois mindset is. And so that'll be fun. And then we're going to read about this poll in which, well, it looks as though people are catching up with the fact that you cannot trust either party to educate your child. So, yay, that's good. So we're basically looking at a bunch of polling information today, and we are going to be starting out actually with a different article where I'm going to explain some things about how all this works and what people need to know about it. So, guys, we got a rather full schedule today for our show. Welcome to The Cult. I stream The Cult Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on this channel, as well as on Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, and Gitter, and I think also Twitter, and I think also Facebook. I don't know. I'm streaming in a bunch of different places, but we are always live unless I say I'm doing something else, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. On Saturday, we go live 1 hour later. We do 6 p.m. on Saturdays for Socialism Saturday. We had a banger of a socialism weekend. It was great. By the way, update. Philip has not yet filed his copyright strike on me. So as of right now, Philip still believes that that ideas are not private property. So I think that's good progress. If for those who don't know, I posted a clip about it on the channel last night. A communist yesterday threatened to file a copyright strike on me because he believed that his ideas were private property. And then I called him out on it and I said, "Philip, that's not a very communist thing to do." And apparently he has rethought his position because I ain't received any copyright strike. I mean, or maybe he did file it. And YouTube was like, nobody, reaction streams are fine. See, I told you guys, I told you there would be no copyright strike over this because reaction streams are within the terms of service. Yay me. So maybe there'll be an update on that, but that's where we stand right now. No copyright strike has been given, so that's really great. But guys, we do regular content on this channel when I'm not doing live streams. I am trying to produce as many short form clips for you as I can. And if you would like to keep up with the work I'm doing and make sure you are always notified when I'm going live on the internet, what you want to do is subscribe to thecult.substack.com. I just dropped the link in the chat below. It's also in the right now. And what happens when, and this is a completely free thing, what happens when you subscribe to this is you will receive an email update from me prior to the live stream where I say, here's what I'm going to be talking about on the show today. And here are the links to YouTube, Rockfin, Odyssey, and Rumble where you can watch live. Now, this is something I'm doing to try to get around the YouTube shadow ban because I keep hearing from you guys, Carlin, I'm not getting notifications. I'm not getting notifications. I'm not getting notifications. And so I'm doing my own notifications in the form of an email update. This is totally free to sign up for, and it'll make sure you get notified and can check out what's going on the show. And if you want to come and join us and hang out, that's great. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. But that option is available for you if you would like to do that. And then, of course, my main Substack is where I would really like everyone to come and support my work. It is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. If you would like to support the work I'm doing and help me be in a position to continue doing it, you can sign up as a paid supporter for $5 a month, $50 a year. That keeps me in business, and I really do appreciate it. And guys, I would love, 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 love to get 3 more paid supporters today. Whether you do the monthly option or the annual option, that's fine, because 3 more paid supporters today helps me reach another milestone, and it's really exciting. I mean, I've just been really overwhelmed with the amount of people that have signed up in the last week. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really, I cannot do it without you. But if you're feeling so inclined and you want to help me reach a new milestone, 3 more supporters today will absolutely help me get there. And I'm going to make it worth your while because you see this article, and we're going to read this article called Woke 101, The Catastrophes Will Continue Until Socialism Improves. This is a premium article. So we're only going to read part of the article because the rest of the article is behind a paywall. And guess what? What's going to be coming soon is something called The Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is going to be the premium podcast associated with my work. I used to read my articles that were free and available to the public on my general Actively Unwoke podcast, which I've got a lot of great content on that one. That podcast will always be free. But because I'm paywalling a lot of my content now, I wanted to give people a podcast version in case they wanted to listen to the articles and also hear additional commentary. And I'm going to be calling this podcast The Inner Circle. And that is going to be available to all paid supporters on my Substack, which is going to be me reading the articles instead. If you want to listen instead of read, I will also usually do additional commentary if I have additional things to say about them. So that is going to be launching very soon. I actually just recorded the first episode. It's already in the can. I'm just working on some branding stuff, got to make it pretty, all that. But that's going to be coming very soon. And again, that's going to come with your membership, $5 a month, $50 a year. So I do try to make it worth your while. I give you a lot of premium members only content, and most of my stuff is going to be behind a paywall moving forward because I've made the decision that I'm done working for free. I am done working for we even though Autumn in the chat is a socialist, I am not a socialist. I'm a capitalist. And I want to do work for people who value what I do enough to contribute to it and fund it. And so I really do appreciate it, guys, when you help me out. But let's read this article because whenever I do a premium article, I do a pretty meaty preview. So there's always going to be a free section of the premium articles, and then if you go past the paywall, you're going to get more in-depth information. And in the free section of this article, I made what I think is a really important point that I just want to explain to people, and I want to make sure that people understand what is going on and kind of the dynamic. The Woke 101 series on Actively Unwoke is essentially if you're kind of new to the culture war or you don't really understand the dynamics that you're seeing at play, I'm going to be downloading kind of like 101 level information to you that, quite frankly, no one ever teaches you. Like, trust me, when you get your ass thrown into the deep end of the pool of the culture war, no one is going to teach you the things that you need to know. And so I'm downloading what I think are the most salient points to really help you guys understand what's going on in the world. And of course, you're always welcome to ask me questions or clarifications over on the Substack, which is carlin.substack.com. But I want to read the free preview of this, and I just want to do a little bit of commentary on it. Here's how things work. Everything the left does, the right reacts to. Every time the right reacts, the left uses it against them to gain more power. Crisis ensues, rinse and repeat. That's it. This is how the woke left have gained as much power as they have. They count on the conservative right being reactionary so that they can use the fact that they are reactionary against them. That is the price you pay on building a political movement on a foundation of we hate everything the Democrats do. And we will talk about more about that when we discuss this polling featured by Jeff Charles. But I digress. That's a different article. The purpose of this one is to help you see how the woke left have been able to amass all their power inch by inch, battle by battle. Never let a good crisis go to waste. We've known for a while that the left is trying to make drag Floyd happen, which is essentially this idea that they really, 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 really want a conservative to kill a drag queen or a trans person. They really do. And I personally think that they will probably be successful at that, mostly because I just don't think conservatives can help themselves. And they may not have gotten their drag queen yet, but they did get the next best thing. They're trying to make Jordan Neely the new George Floyd. Now, I want to be very clear on this. I don't actually have enough information to be able to judge what I think of what happened to Jordan Neely. Okay. I have not looked at it. I have been focusing on other things. My point here is not, was what happened to Jordan Neely just or unjust? I don't know. I will say that I don't think he probably should have died on the subway. That to me seems a little off, but that's not the point I'm making, and I'm not in a position to be able to comment on that because I just don't have the information for it. So I don't want anyone to take what I'm about to say as being in favor of or against what happened to Jordan Neely because I just seriously don't know. But that's not the point. The point is that the left is taking advantage of this crisis in order to gain political power. So they're trying to make Jordan Neely the new George Floyd. And of course, per usual, the conservative right is absolutely taking the bait. Okay? So the left is like, justice for Jordan or whatever the heck they're doing. I'm sure there's justice for Jordan signs somewhere. And so they're all like, he was wrongfully killed, new George Floyd, justice for him, say his name, all their typical lefty stuff. Now, because the left is coming out like pro Jordan Neely, the right has to come out as anti Jordan Neely. And it doesn't even matter. The facts of the case do not matter. Listen, I got in trouble for this quite a bit. I don't think George Floyd should have died. Okay. I do think the cops that killed George Floyd should be in jail. I think that the decision to convict Derek Chauvin was absolutely and completely correct. There was no excuse for any of that. I don't care how much fentanyl George Floyd had in his system. There was absolutely no excuse for any of that. Now, that gets me in trouble with conservatives because the left latched on to George Floyd to lift him up to be the patron saint of everything, which that shouldn't have happened either because George Floyd was like not a good person. All right. So, but the left doesn't matter. We have to create Saint George Floyd. And then the right backlashes against it and basically comes out as totally against George Floyd, no matter what actually happened, and completely in favor of the cops, which is not correct. Okay. So with this Jordan Neely thing, same thing's happening. Jordan Neely dies, whether or not that was justified or not, that is not what I'm commenting on. But the left is now lifting up Jordan Neely, Saint Jordan, because they've been waiting for a crisis for a while now. And because the left is lifting up this person, the right has to come back and be like, no, he was a horrible person. Here are all the things that he did. And so Charlie Kirk is just one example of about 50,000 that I could have selected, but it's Charlie Kirk. And so he always, Charlie Kirk never lets me down in terms of his hysteria. And he says, Jordan Neely has been arrested 40 plus times, once for punching a 64-year-old man in the face at another subway station, another time for attempting to kidnap a 7-year-old girl. This is who the left wants to canonize as the poster child of oppression, their next George Floyd. Now, I'm going to tell you why this isn't an effective argument. Number one, just because someone is a bad person does not mean they deserve to be murdered on a subway. I'm sorry. Like, again, I'm not arguing that Jordan Neely is a good person. I'm not arguing that he is necessarily like deserving of like kindness and all that stuff, because he's obviously done some things that were, well, wrong. And I think we need to acknowledge that. However, that's not why the right is doing this. They're backlashing against the left, trying to canonize him. And in the process of saying that, in the process of doing this, what they're saying is a black man deserved to die on the subway. It sounds a little bit racist, guys. It sounds a little bit racist. It really does. Every single time there's some sort of backlash from the right where they're like, this black man deserved to die because he was a bad person and committed crimes. Okay, well, fine. Yeah, I can understand like committed crimes. Okay, fine. But that actually doesn't mean he deserves to be executed for those crimes. It doesn't. And Brian, I don't care. I really don't care. That's not the point. When you nitpick like this, you look racist. And I know you're not, Brian. I know you're a good guy. And I know that's not your intent, but I'm trying to explain how this looks to normal people. All right. So, in the backlash against these things, the right inevitably makes themselves look racist. And then, which the left will use to paint, and then because the right is making themselves look racist, the left then needs to react to what the right is doing. And they need to try to make Jordan Neely look like a goddamn saint, which he wasn't. Again, I can see a lot of people in the chat missing the point because I'm just gonna say it, guys. You're getting stuck in your feelings. And anytime you argue that a black man deserves to be executed for, kind of existing, you make yourselves look racist. I didn't make the rules. This is reality. This is why I try to explain to the conservative right that you need to be smarter and you need to be more strategic. Because if your answer to every time a black man is wrongfully killed is he deserved to die because he committed crimes, well, okay, maybe he deserved to be in prison for those crimes, But I'm not going to sit here and say he deserved to die. You want to know why? Because that makes me look like I don't like black people. It's also just wrong, by the way. It's just wrong. And so every time the right backlashes against the left for this stuff because they don't want to sit back and think and be strategic, they make themselves look like a bunch of racists. And I kind of think that the right is kind of like leaning into this racist thing lately. I really do. I posted on Twitter that if the right didn't say overtly racist things so much, the left really wouldn't have as much of a leg to stand on in terms of them saying that they're racist. And everyone said, "Carlin, they're going to call us racist anyway." Well, guess what, guys? I wrote a little book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life, in which the entire introduction was about how the left wrongfully labels people racist. So I'm not unaware. It was literally the first thing I talked about in my book. You are welcome to buy my book and read it if you don't believe me. However, then the right comes out, like Matt Walsh did last week, and defends the use of the N-word. Why is Matt Walsh doing a segment defending and advocating that he should be able to use the N-word? What value does that offer? How does that look? Does anyone think about these things? You're literally doing an entire effing segment, Matt Walsh, about why you should be allowed to use the N-word. Now, what people are going to say is, they're going to say, "Free speech, Carlin. Why should we be banned from using a word?" Okay, fine, but why do you have to pick that word to harp on? Why are you really going, is there some sort of reason you want to be able to use that word? Why that one particularly? And that's not even the only time Matt Walsh has done blatantly racist shit. Matt Walsh, time after time after time after time after time after time after time, has tweeted out videos of black kids getting in fights at schools, calling them animals, and acting as though black kids are the only kids that ever get in fights at schools. Guys, I got news for you. I grew up in Lily White, Vermont, and I promise you, white kids get in fights at school as well. It's not just the black kids, it's also the white kids. Both races do it. So why is Matt Walsh literally calling kids animals and highlighting the black ones and then ignoring the white ones? It all comes across as a little racist. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? There is no reason to do this. And oh, King just got blocked. Now I actually have people using the N-word in my chat. Guys, just to be very, very clear, I don't care what your feelings are. I have 2 rules in my chat. Number 1, don't be a dick. Number 2, no whining. Apparently now, conservatives, because you're getting your fifis hurt, now I have to add a new rule to my chat to say, you will not say the N-word in my chat. That is an instant block, and I don't care how your free speech feels about it because it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. But this is the place in which we find ourselves. The left does something, the right does everything they can, no matter what the situation is, to backlash against the left. And then what the left does, because the right is not smart enough to understand that they are quite literally setting the left up to get exactly what they want, the left then takes whatever reaction the right has and they use it against them. So, if you have a situation like Jordan Neely being canonized, you might not agree with that, but backlashing against it and making yourself look racist is going to be used against you, because what the left is then going to do is say, look, they're the racists that we always told you they were. And we know that they're doing that because here's an article: George Floyd was no angel movement revived following subway killing of Jordan Neely. And then it says the former Marine held a man in a chokehold for over 15 minutes, killing him on Monday after the man was allegedly acting aggressively on a subway car in New York City. Now people in conservative circles are using the man's arrest record to claim the killing was justified. So here's what happened, conservatives. Let me make this really concise. The left set you up and you took the bait. You know, I posted a video. Well, I posted several clips earlier today, and one person commented on one of the clips, and they say, "Carlin, what about solutions? Like you're telling us that we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. Like if the left is going to retaliate against us no matter what we do, then what do you want us to do?" And I replied, I said, "You need to be smart. You need to be smart. Don't respond when you know it's going to be used against you. You need to be smart." But and do you know what the person responded back with? "Well, what if I'm just not willing to do that?" And I said, "Well, then you're going to lose." Because if the right is constantly backlashing against whatever the left does, regardless of the facts, regardless of how it makes them look, regardless of whether or not, Mudstar, if you keep arguing in favor of the use of the N-word, I'm going to block your ass, and I'm not even joking. I've now told you to stop doing it, and I expect you to stop doing it. And if you whine or complain and continue to do it, then I am going to block you because I don't want that here. They just can't help themselves. So the left does something, the right backlashes against it, the right inevitably, usually, makes themselves look incredibly effing racist. And then the left says, look, they're the racists. They're the racists we always told you they are. They're the racists. Don't you see what we see? Do you guys see how this works? The only way that you can flip the script is by not reacting in the way that the left wants you to react. And if you are unwilling to be strategic in your responses, knowing exactly how this game is played, they're setting you up, and then you are taking the bait. You are giving them what they want. Steve, it makes no effing difference at all. That is not the point that's being made. I need mouths shut. I need ears open. Every single time that you react to what the left does, you are taking the bait. Again, mouth shut, ears open. King Peter of the chat says, you need to be as not racist as possible so that when the left accuses you of being racist, they come off as unhinged to the center. Yes. Yes. This is exactly and explicitly correct. Because when the left sets you up and you take the bait, they are using it because they know you are going to take the bait, and then they are going to use that to paint you all as racist to the center. And the center is where the voters are. The center is what you need to win over to win elections. And if you're not willing to zip it when the left is trying to get you to take the bait, then you will lose, and you will deserve to lose, because it's now been explained to you explicitly how this game is played. If you see, and we still have people who are not listening. So Messi, I'm going to put you in a timeout. You can come back. If you would allow, Steve is also going in a timeout. See, guys, like, mouth shut, ears open. Because these are people who are not willing to not take the bait. This is why I say that they just can't help themselves. And this is why the right loses time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. If you want to stop losing, then you have got to stop taking the bait. Naruto says, did you hear about the first grader in Texas? I did not, Naruto, but I expect there'll be a DM in my inbox, and so I will look forward to that. Thank you so much. Shauna says the other issue is because the right looks racist, it ends up attracting actual racists, hence Fuentes. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, Richard Spencer is like voted for Joe Biden. So I wouldn't like what the actual hang on, I'm gonna get Shauna's super chat on the screen. Here's what the actual racists do, because the white identitarians are a real thing. The right likes to deny they exist, but I've seen them, I've interacted with them, I know they're a real thing. What they do is they take advantage of the right's stupidity in order to be able to recruit people. That's what the real racists do. They wait for the right to do something stupid, like they wait for Matt Walsh to say, "Why can't we say the N-word?" And then what they do is they look for people responding to Matt Walsh. I've seen them do this. They look for people responding to Matt Walsh. They communicate with those people. They say, "Come over here. We care about white people. We care about white well-being. We care about white positivity." Look in the replies on Twitter sometime. You will see this happen. They do it right out in the open. There's whole groups of them that do this. And they recruit people to say, "Are you feeling disillusioned with how white people are treated in the world? Why don't you come and join us?" That's how the real racists take advantage of this. And people like Matt Walsh and Ian Miles Chung set them up to do it every single time. These people, I've seen these people recruit countless times in Ian Miles Chung's Twitter replies. Absolutely. And again, guys, the only way to avoid this is to stop taking the bait. Stop making excuses. Stop deflecting. Stop saying the left is racist, so we should get to be racist too. Nope, that's taking the bait, because you want to know why? They are in the power position. You are not in the power position. They are in the power position. Alpha Eagle, I have literally just explained all of this. Mouth shut, ears open. See, this is why it's like beating your head against the wall sometimes. Because the right doesn't want to listen. The right doesn't want to be strategic. The right doesn't want to think logically. All the right wants to do is react. And the left counts on the right reacting, which is why they set themselves up to react all the time. And then the right, because they don't think, walk right into the trap, and then it's used against them, and then they lose elections because people think they're racist and they wonder why. Now, if people had bothered to read my book, which is, again, Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against woke insanity in your life, they would have actually found the answer to this problem in the introduction of the book, which says that stop believing you are racist. Stop playing into this game. Don't act more racist. Just stop responding. You can find the book at, hang on, Vision is, oh, hang on. Why isn't this working? Uh-oh. Well, I hope I'll be able to display this on the screen. Something's going wrong. Sorry for the delay, guys. I think I need to update my Chrome because this is not displaying on the screen when I want it to. There it is. You can find the book at activelyunwoke.com. It has links to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all major booksellers. Amazon's probably the easiest place. It's on hardcover Kindle or on audio version read by me. And I will explain to you exactly what you need to do to avoid falling into this trap in the introduction of the book. You don't even have to read that far. But the big thing I want you to take away is stop playing their game and reacting. Nothing is saying that you have to follow the rules that the left sets for you. They are counting on you following the rules the left sets for you. And every time you guys are like, we're not racist, we're not racist, we're not racist. Why are you saying we're racist? Why can't we use the N-word? Why won't you let us use that word? It's free speech. We're not really racist, we promise. We're just calling black children animals. It doesn't mean we're racist. I mean, I swear to God, that's quite literally the conversation that I have. But every time you guys devolve into that conversation, you are losing the game. There is no win. There is no win that comes out of that. The only win that you can achieve is not to play in the first place. Do not agree to the rules. Just turn around, ignore it, keep your mouth shut, and perhaps even, and I know this might be really daring to dream, perhaps even present a proactive strategy and a proactive vision for the country that is not just backlashing against what the left is doing. Now, I know that's not going to happen because the polling tells me that's not going to happen, which we will look at next. But now I want to bring up, if my computer will allow me to do it, a couple super chats that have come in, and I do appreciate the super chats, guys. Steven says the Marxists are loving the chaos as they continue to disrupt, blame it on capitalism, and move forward. And being a racist is being a capitalist, folks. Reacting is fuel to the flames. Exactly. Exactly. Continuing to have the argument about can I use the N-word or not, it makes you look effing racist. So stop having the argument. Like, literally, just don't do it. I promise you, it's not that hard. Just don't have the argument. Brian says, but remember, it's not enough to be racist. You must be actively anti-racist. Well, that may be, Brian, but that is a different conversation for a different day. I do appreciate the super chat. So, guys, let me show you why I do not believe that the right will ever be able to come up with a cohesive plan ever in an attempt to present a forward-looking vision for the country. And in order to do that, we're going to look at this polling that was from YouGov and CBS that came out last week. And it is we're going to look at the Twitter thread that my friend Jeff Charles posted on Twitter. You should definitely be following Jeff if you are not already. He is at Jeff Charles Jr. Let's just consider these numbers, and I want you to let me know in the chat what you think of these numbers. In responding to the question, 2024 Republican nomination, you are right now considering only Trump and other candidates, not considering Trump. Okay, well, 24% of the GOP is saying that they are only considering Trump, which inherently tells me that the GOP is actually not being very strategic about the nominating process or what they are actually doing when they're running a presidential campaign. But you know what? 49% Trump and other candidates, and then you got 25% or 27% that's not considering Trump at all. Guess what that means, guys? Guess what that... No. I'm sorry. Nuclear? No. Racist is not a made-up word. It's been around for a really long time. When you guys are saying things that overtly comment on skin color, that comes across as racist. I can't. I fucking can't. I really can't. This is truly why I love watching the right lose, because it's just like they don't want to win. They don't want to do what's required to win. Yes, Starry, we will literally be looking at that next. Relax. So, what this tells me, and I think that Trump will likely be the Republican nominee for president in 2024, what this tells me is that Trump is absolutely going to lose. Because 24%, and not even Trump, to be honest, I think any Republican nominee will lose in 2024 at the rate that we're going. I don't think there is a snowball's chance in hell that they're going to win, because 24% of people will only vote for Trump, and 27% of Republican voters will not vote for Trump. If the left doesn't care, then there is no reason to react to them. You are coming up with excuses for why it is acceptable for you to be a racist. If they don't care, There is no reason to react at all. If they don't care, then reacting is going to accomplish nothing. You have literally made the argument for why the best case scenario is that you keep your mouth shut and you opt out of the game entirely. Is this confusing? I just don't even know what to say. I really don't. It really is like Republicans don't want to win anything. They really don't. And now I have people arguing about what racism is. All right. Great. It's going to be one of those days. Great. Shauna says Gorka and Shapiro are divided on Trump v. DeSantis. I use them because they are very close politically. I mean, I think DeSantis is awful. So I don't think either of them are good, to be quite honest. I'm just looking in the chat, guys. Sorry. All right, Messa, go away. You're now blocked. I'm not going to deal with people continuing to bring up the N-word after I've told you no several times. Guys, as a reminder, I do not have an unmoderated chat. I have a completely moderated chat. This is my house. If I tell you to stop doing something, just stop doing it. If you don't want to stop doing the thing I asked you to stop doing, then I will show you the door, and I will show you the door permanently, and you will not be invited back. So what this tells me is that Republicans have no interest in winning a presidential election, but it gets better. Why are you not voting for Trump? 65%, I like other candidates more. Okay, that's fine. I'm not voting for him because he's too controversial. That's actually pretty on point. 50% how he deals with his political opponents, 41% ongoing legal fights. Now, I actually think the best reason not to vote for Trump is the ongoing legal fights, if I'm honest about it. Yes, this is exactly correct, Philosophist. We know what racism is. You people are letting your desire to spite the left poison your logic, which makes you a tool of your Philosophist. This is actually just the perfect kind of softball that is going to tee me into these polling results. You are letting your desire to spite the left poison your logic, which makes you a tool of your opponents. Let's continue. Where the heck are the rest of the polling things? That was not the... Oh, okay, we went down too far. Okay. Here's the actual numbers. Okay, I linked to the wrong thing. My apologies. 2024, you prefer a Republican nomination candidate who 85% challenges woke ideas, 66% opposes gun restrictions, 61% says Trump won in 2020. And here's the kicker, guys. When Philosophist says, you guys are letting your desire to spite the left poison your logic, which makes you a tool of your opponent, 57% of Republican voters said that they prefer a nominee who makes liberals angry. The Republican Party and the Republican voters are quite literally building a 2024 presidential strategy around who is going to own the libs. And because of that, they are going to lose. And, fine, challenging woke ideas, but the fact is that most people in the country don't know what woke ideas are, so that 85% is a wash. Opposes gun restrictions, okay, fine. And 61% are still harping on, you have to say that Trump won in 2020 in order to get our votes. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I think there were shenanigans in 2020 as much as anyone. Not with Dominion. I don't think that was what the shenanigans were. I think there were other shenanigans. But you guys are honestly saying that a purity test in order to get your vote for the nomination is you have to take the Trump won in 2020 oath? That's going to make sure that you lose in the general election. I'm sorry. But that 57% makes liberals angry. That is truly, guys, That's the fourth most important thing that you're concerned about, owning the libs? Okay. Why are you voting for Trump? Past performance as president, fights for people like me, would beat Biden, how he deals with his political opponents. So basically, 82% of people are saying that they're voting for Trump because he owns the libs. YouGov and CBS did this poll. YouGov and CBS. Shauna says, I'm wondering if Dems will allow Biden to win the presidency again and then remove him and put in someone they like better. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what they're going to do about Biden. We'll talk about that in a second. But thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Why are you voting for Trump? 75%. He actually won in 2020. The number one reason why people are voting for Trump is because, quote unquote, I'm just reading the poll, YouTube. I'm not saying I'm co-signing this. I'm literally just reading the poll. He actually won in 2020. Great reason to vote for someone, guys. Great. 65% show support for legal fights. I don't even know what that means. 64 so the challenges against him. Okay, well, I don't think that's a good reason to vote for him either. 64% you like him and want to have a beer with him. And there it is again, 51% he makes the libs angry. And then we get into who else are you considering? Only Trump. Only Trump. Only Trump can accomplish these things. So I think that this makes Republicans look, well, like they don't quite have their eye on the ball. I think this makes Republicans look, combined with the fact that in the last week, the most popular thing that they argued for on their side was the ability to use the N word. I think that this makes Republicans look like they have no interest in winning the election at all. I think it makes them look like they have absolutely no interest in winning independent voters. I think that they are not taking this seriously. There is no strategy. There is no forward-looking vision for the country. And all of this, I promise you, combined with the fact that the right is just constantly reacting against whatever the left does, the right wants to lose. They want to lose. There is nothing about any of this and how the right reacts on a daily basis that says we want to win. And that's true even in the context of most Americans don't think Joe Biden is mentally sharp enough to serve a second term. Let's read. So what this means, guys, is that Republicans actually have a golden opportunity to actually do something productive. They really do. Republicans have a golden opportunity to do something productive. Republicans have an opportunity to build a positive, forward-looking vision that would make people optimistic and speak to issues that they care about. But what we know from the polling results and from the fact that Republicans over and over and over and over and over and over and over again just can't get over this constant need to own the libs and make the libs angry. Well, guess what, guys? Every single time you make the libs angry, you lose voters. So I suspect we're going to be throwing away this golden opportunity of most Americans don't think Biden is mentally sharp enough to serve a second term. Let's read. A majority of Americans don't believe President Biden is mentally or physically fit enough to lead the country for a second term, according to a new poll. On the heels of Biden's official announcement for re-election, 67% of Americans in a new Washington Post ABC New polls say that they don't think the 80-year-old is mentally sharp enough to run the nation effectively, and 62% believe Biden is not in good enough physical health to be in the Oval Office. Biden has faced swirling questions around whether or not he is fit due to his various flubs and gaffes, throughout his tenure and even before it, if we're honest about it. Allies and associates of Democrats are preparing to feel plenty of criticism about Biden's age and mental and physical abilities during his re-election bid. When Americans in the poll were asked whether former President Donald Trump had mental sharpness to serve effectively, 54% believed he did, according to the Washington Post. So I don't want any celebrating. All right? Because even though the majority of Americans don't think Biden is competent, guess what? You're only eking by with the majority of Americans thinking that Trump is competent. So that ain't going to work. Wyatt says, if I can get my computer to work today. If anyone wants to subscribe to my Substack so I can upgrade my piece of shit computer, that would be great. Carlin spitting facts yet again today. I appreciate it, Wyatt. Thank you for dropping by. No, Stephen. No, they learned nothing from Fetterman and Oz. They learned nothing. Democrats literally ran a potato and won. And Republicans learned nothing. But I want to listen real quick to what to this little like clip from George Stephanopoulos talking about the polling results. I just have to set up my sound real quick. Hang on one sec. Guys, while I'm setting up my sound, please mount that like button. Even if you don't like what I'm saying, I am actually telling you the truth, and I'm telling you the hard truth that your influencers are not going to tell you. I'm literally giving you the tools you need to win, but you need to utilize the tools. And if you're not going to utilize the tools and the information that I'm giving you to win because you would prefer to whine and complain and exist in your fifis, that's really your problem. Really your problem. Okay, this is taking a second to load up. Hang on. All right, let's listen to this clip.
President Biden pushing back on questions about his age from Stephanie Ruhle as he bids for re-election. It's just one of the big challenges he faces now, more revealed by our brand new poll. Political director Rick Klein here to break it down. And Rick, this poll is just brutal for President Biden.
Absolutely, George. And you talked earlier about that record low approval rating for President Biden. It's actually 6 points down just since February. And the skepticism over his leadership extends deep inside his own party. Only 36% of Democrats think that their party should nominate Joe Biden for a second term. 58% say they would support someone else or prefer someone else. That's despite the fact that the entire DNC, most of the Democratic establishment, has rallied behind President Biden. And you're seeing real weaknesses in the coalition that powered Joe Biden to the presidency back in 2020. Biden carried independents by 13 points against Donald Trump. He is now trailing Trump by 9 points among those same voters. He carried black voters by 75 points in 2020. Now he is up just 35. That may sound like a lot, but the fact of the matter is, in modern politics, that is not the kind of number that a Democrat needs to be victorious. And then, of course, that does spill over into the head-to-head matchup, the hypothetical rematch. Trump
I'm going to pause this right quick because Alpha Eagle is still talking instead of listening. The Dems will call Republicans the bad guys no matter what. There is no point in caring if they call us names. Republicans are running on Biden's incompetence. No, you aren't. The polling numbers show that you are absolutely not running on Biden's incompetence. You guys aren't even talking about Biden's incompetence. No one knows what Biden is incompetent at. What you are running on is owning the libs. And what you don't seem to understand and don't want to hear because you're too busy talking and not doing enough listening is that you are going to lose every single independent voter. We're not talking about Democrat voters, although you need to pull some away from them as well. You are going to lose every single independent voter in your constant striving to own the libs. Every time Matt Walsh defends using the N-word on his show, do you know how we just saw in this clip? They said that black people had heavily swung away from Joe Biden. 75% of black people voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Now that's down to a 35% approval rating. That is a massive shift. Guess what? You lose that shift when Matt Walsh is defending using the N-word. You lose that shift when you guys are cheering the death of a black guy on the subway and kind of sounding really racist when you do it. And all of this focus on owning the libs, on pissing people off, is going to guarantee that you lose the critical constituency that you need to win in 2024, but you aren't listening because your fifis are hurt because I told you that you look like a bunch of effing racists when you do this. You need black voters to swing in your direction, and you are spinning in their faces when you defend using the N-word. And I know this, and it is not just Democrats. I know you guys piss off black conservatives when you do this because I've spent a lot of time talking with black conservatives about this. These are conservatives. These are people who agree with you politically. They agree with you. And you're still pissing them off so much that you're driving them to the libertarians. All because of your constant, never-ending need to own the libs when you could just not react in the first place. If you guys want to actually win an election, you need to appeal to independent voters. You need to appeal to people in the middle. That has nothing to do with what the left thinks or what the left says or what the left calls you. Has nothing to do with it at all. And by the way, you need to peel off some Democrats too if you're going to win. That's just reality. These are numbers. You guys have like 30% of the country. 30. That's it. If you are not reaching out to other groups to make sure that they are on your team, then you are going to lose. If you are not willing to do that, then you are going to lose. If you are not willing to rein in the racist shit that your influencers are peddling, then you are going to lose, and it will be entirely your fault. And if you want to have feelings about that, have all the feelings you like. Go, Carlin, I cannot believe you're taking their side. I am unsubscribing from your channel right now. Well, fine, unsubscribe. And then you are still going to lose. And it will be entirely your fault because it was explained to you explicitly in multiple different ways, in every which way it could possibly be explained, very patiently. And you still didn't listen. I can't want you to get your shit together more than you want to get your shit together. If you are continuing to be willfully ignorant about the dynamics at play and not listen to why people don't want to vote for you, you cannot build an election strategy off of owning the libs and defending the use of the N-word and still expect to win. You can't do it. You are going to lose. I don't know why people like me want you to get your shit together more than you do. Maybe that's a good question you can answer. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue.
Right now, a 7-point edge in our poll from in Trump leading Biden. And in fact, it's an identical number with Ron DeSantis in a head-to-head that might happen next November. That tells us at this very early stage, George, that this race is shaping up a lot more about the incumbent president, Joe Biden, than it is about any of his challengers.
And Rick, as I mentioned with Senator Langford, President Trump, at least right now, appears to be strengthening his hold on the his front-runner status for the Republican nomination.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't agree with the assessment that this is going to end up based on a referendum on Biden. I don't agree with that at all. Because I think what happens is Trump's going to get nominated. Trump's going to be fighting legal battles the entire time. Trump's going to say something stupid. He's going to say something outlandish. He's going to turn off a lot of people. That's what I think is ultimately going to happen. And then we're going to be handed Joe Biden term number 2, folks. And that's when it really gets fun. Who's ready for that? Because you know what we get in Joe Biden term number 2? We get the wonderful land of Marxism. Who's ready for Marxism? Who's ready for our long, slow descent into socialism? Chris says people need to wake up. Losing is not an option. There will be no United States of America. If the Dem wins, our country will be done. Well, I'm just not sure that's enticing enough of an argument, Chris, because I talk to people all day, every day who seem to want to lose really badly because they are not taking this seriously, because they're not thinking about what's going on in the schools, because they're not considering the consequences of what an own the lib strategy means. But this is what it means right here. Colorado Teachers Union passes resolution declaring capitalism inherently exploits children and public schools. I don't need a poll on Indie Data Alpha Eagle. I know what they want. I come from their world. I know them far better than you do. I promise you. And do you know what they don't want? They don't want a group of alt-right lunatics owning the libs. They don't want Trump endlessly ranting and raving about nonsense exactly like he does on Truth Social every day. They sure as shit don't want Matt Walsh defending the use of the N-word. They don't want people who are defending the murder of Jordan Neely on the subway, which kind of seems like it was really unnecessary for the average person. And then to look at Republicans and go, oh, well, he committed crime, so he deserves to be murdered on a subway. I'll tell you all the things they don't want. They don't want your abortion bans. They don't want you intruding on their bodies. They want you to leave them the F alone. They don't want that. This isn't even hard. I can do it off the top of my head. And this is what's going to happen when you guys allow yourself to lose because you don't want to listen. The Colorado Education Association, CEA, reportedly passed a resolution that declares capitalism inherently exploits children, public schools, land, labor, and resources. The CEA is the teachers' union. A final version of the resolution that was passed states the CEA believes that capitalism requires exploitation of children, public schools, land, labor, and/or resources. Capitalism is in opposition to fully addressing systemic racism, the schools to prison pipeline, that's a socialist talking point, climate change, patriarchy, gender and LGBTQ disparities, education inequities, and income inequities. However, a screenshot captures an earlier draft of the resolution that included a call to replace capitalism. Oh, check this out. A screenshot captures an earlier draft of the resolution that included a call to replace capitalism with a new equitable economic system. Does anyone want to take a guess at what that new equitable economic system would be? Anyone in the chat? This would be a pop quiz. If the Colorado Teachers Union is officially endorsing getting rid of capitalism and replacing it with a new equitable economic system. Yep, that's going to be socialism. That's going to be communism, socialism, Marxism, socialism. Yep. That's what happens when Republicans lose elections because they're too hell-bent on owning the libs. The screenshot of the original version of the resolution reads, CEA believes that capitalism requires exploitation. We've already read this 37 times. Well, actually, this is the original version. I should read it again. CEA believes that capitalism requires exploitation of children, public schools, land, labor, and/or resources, and therefore, the only way to fully address systemic racism, the school-to-prison pipeline, climate change, patriarchy, gender and LGBTQ disparities, education inequality, and income inequality is to dismantle capitalism and replace it with a new equitable economic system. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? And, some might say utopian. And there's the screenshot there. We are constantly using band-aids and minor reforms to make things better, which is good, but the system itself is the problem and it needs to be named. A statement read under the resolution. There it is right there. Do you know what's funny? I think I recognize the name of that person, Brian Lindstrom. Hang on one second. Hang on. I think I recognize this name. Brian Lindstrom, Colorado. Holy shit. Holy shit. I know exactly who this is. This guy is quoted in my book. This guy that introduced this resolution has me blocked on Twitter. Do you know why this guy has me blocked on Twitter? Because I exposed him for teaching Marxism in his classroom. It's the same effing guy. Same. I knew I fucking recognized this name. I literally wrote about this jackass in my book. I forget. Oh god, what the hell did the tweet say? What did it say? Hang on. I need to log in under a different browser because he has me blocked on Twitter. I knew it. I always recognize the socialists. I fucking knew it. That's crazy. Hang on. Let me just see real quick. Bear with me, guys. This is going to be worth it if I can actually find what I'm looking for. If my system wants to work, actually. Come on. Search. Twitter, you fucker. All right, hang on. Let me look in a different window. Maybe one of my other windows will work better. Thank you for bearing with me, guys. I promise this will be worth it if I can actually find what I need. Because I remember this guy's tweet. This guy's tweet was crazy. Load, load, load. And if someone else wants to search for this guy's tweet, I know it went viral when it did. Why is this not loading? Now I can't even search. Oh, great. Log in. Log in under one of my 87 stock accounts. No big deal. Nick says, tip jar, can I start donating blood? Nick, you are a very honorable tip jar devotee. Don't worry about it. Why isn't this working? All right, this is not working. My Twitter is not working. My computer is going too slow. But I promise I'm going to look this up later because I know this guy's tweet was crazy. I know this guy's tweet was insane. I just don't want to waste any more time on it right now because my computer is not cooperating. A former federal official sent a screenshot of the original version to an outlet called The Lion, who obtained the documents first. Blah, blah, blah. The CEA had previously decided to not disclose the revolution, citing process and privacy concerns. The resolution was introduced by Brian Lindstrom, a college history. God fucking damn it! This is really bothering me now. Hang on. Maybe I can just search on my Twitter. I really want to show this to you guys. And I apologize, my computer is not working. But guys, if you want to become a member of my Substack so you can support me getting a new computer so I can get rid of this piece of shit that is not working and doing what I want it to do when I really do want to show you something important. One sec, I'm just going to try one more thing. And then we're going to move on. Oh, he changed his handle. That's part of the problem. All right. I'm not going to get this worked out right now, guys. I will try to find it later, I promise. But another thing I wanted to point out, so basically, like, this is what happens. Yes, I didn't put the name in the book. It's got to okay. Hang on. I didn't want to name him because I didn't want to give him credit. Hang on. I will find my book maybe. find. Yeah, finding his Twitter is not what I'm looking for, Sin. I'm looking for a specific tweet. But my computer is not effing working. Colorado. Nope, that's not Colorado, actually. Got it. Got it. Got it. This is in my book, Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. In June 2021, a high school history teacher in Colorado proudly tweeted, "I'm going on record now. At the end of the day, it's just my students and me in our classroom, and we will be discussing race, class, and gender in my history classes, regardless of what laws or policies people want to pass. Critical race theory is a component of everything I do." That is the same person that introduced that resolution in Colorado that said that they wanted to replace capitalism with something more equitable. Same guy. And I know I have the screenshot on my Twitter somewhere. I know I have it. I'm going to go back and prove this later. I remember him because I got into a Twitter fight with him. This is why I remembered the name, but that is absolutely what he tweeted back in June of 2021. Don't tell me there are no Marxists in schools. Anyway, I'm feeling vindicated right now. Fun times. But I want to take a listen to this clip real quick. This is from the Majority Report, and this is basically talking about the Jordan Neely stuff. And the reason I think this is interesting is because that Emma, who apparently is a host on the Majority Report, specifically uses bourgeois, which tells us that what is the fact that Emma is using the term bourgeois tell us? Anyone want to take a guess? What does that tell us? It means that Emma is a Marxist. You can always tell where people stand politically by the language that they use. Democrats have a very specific set of language. Socialists have a very specific set of language. Republicans and conservatives have very specific sets of language. Libertarians have very specific sets of language. If you want to know where someone is politically, even without them telling you, and quite frankly, not usually knowing themselves, you look at the language that they're using and you look at the patterns that they're using. Anytime you hear someone you say the word bourgeois, they're almost always going to be a Marxist. So let's listen. Let's listen.
I was hit at one point sitting on the subway by a man who was having a mental health episode. He sat next to me and he was elbowing and kind of flailing around and hit me in the face and in my body. And it was jarring, right? The idea that I would want him to be hurt in any way, I just didn't want to be near him in that moment because I understood something was going on here. Every one of us who's taken public transit has had this kind of situation, something similar happen, seeing someone struggling. That doesn't mean that our fear in that instance, and I was a little scared because I was hit.
It's a problem. Like it's people that need help.
But like my fear is not the primary object of like what we should be focusing on right now. It's the fact that this person is in pain. And so like the politics of dehumanization privileges the bourgeois kind of concern of people's like immediate discomfort in this narrow instance, as opposed to larger humanity and life. It's really freaking twisted.
Yeah,
Guys, this is the world that we're heading into if you guys don't get your shit together, conservatives, and start actually focus on winning elections. I promise you, they're going to tell you that your desire to feel safe on a subway is bourgeois and there's nothing you can do about it. They're going to teach your kids that in school because they're already trying to position that in terms of like the Colorado teachers unions. Mark asks, have I read Rules for Radicals? I have read Rules for Radicals several times. We read it as part of a book club in my community. I have a whole chapter in my book, Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. that is all about the rules for the actively unwoke, which is based partially on the rules for radicals, because the rules for radicals is a excellent guide for actually how to create political change. Everyone should read rules for radicals. If you have not read rules for radicals, I highly recommend it. And guess what? The rules for radicals piece of it, the actual rules, not even the scariest thing in that book. I'm going to be actually it's funny that you bring this up, because I was actually just last night writing an article for my Substack about the rules for radicals and how we could turn the rules for radicals around and use it actually against the woke left. So that will be coming to my Substack, carlin.substack.com. But for right now, I got a couple more things I want to show you guys, or at least one more thing. We already did a book club. We already did a book club a couple years ago. There are other books we want to read too, you know. All right, let me show you this. Now, because of all this insanity, again, on both sides, they're both acting so crazy that the plurality of independents don't trust either party with education. And again, conservatives, I need you to listen to this. Just because someone does not like the left does not mean that they like the right. I'm going to say that again. Just because someone does not like the left and they think the left is crazy does not mean that they like the right and agree with the right and have defected to the right. Okay? Nearly half of independent voters say they don't trust Republicans or Democrats to handle education policy, according to a new poll by a Democratic group. The survey conducted by Democrats for Education Reform shows a stark partisan divide on education, with 88% of Democrats saying they trust the party on the issue, 84% of Republicans siding with theirs, and 49% of independents saying they don't trust either party. Just because someone does not want to vote for Democrats does not mean they want to vote for conservatives. And by the way, conservatives, running around saying if you don't vote for us, you're voting for the Democrat, is not a way to win people's votes. How you win votes is through a forward-looking vision and behaving like rational adults and coming to the table and wanting to compromise and not engage in lunacy. And if you're not willing to present a forward-looking vision and not engage in lunacy, then you're probably not going to win people's votes. And saying to them, you're just a lib, or you're voting for the Democrats because you're not voting for us, that's not going to win their votes. What conservatives need to be worried about, ramping up to 2024, is they need to figure out a way to win independent voters. They need to figure out a way to win moderate Democrat voters. Elections are won by getting votes. And the schools should be the issue that conservatives are strongest on, but they actually end up being weak because, Reagan, they insist on focusing all their time and energy on banning books. Stop banning books. Stop trying to push the Bible into school. Stop trying to ban abortion. Stop telling women that you can control their body. I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. Stop trying to legislate your religion. I don't want your religion. I don't want your Bible in schools. Only 30% of people are social conservatives. Stop telling adults they can't have trans surgery. Leave them alone. You guys have done a stop harping on drag queens. Stop bringing drag queens up. You are going to lose on drag queens alone. Stop obsessing over Dylan Mulvaney. Start focusing on things that matter. Start focusing on the schools. Start focusing on school policy. That's off the top of my head. Shauna says, my mom left the Democrats after being a member since she was 18. She's 77, but she will never vote Republican. Exactly. Exactly. Yup. White Wizard Alex says, Yes, Carlin, that is another fault of the right, is assuming that anyone who is against the woke is for them. Part of the reason why the woke left is so popular is because of the right. That is exactly right, guys. When I left the left in 2020, everyone assumed that I became a conservative, even though I said explicitly over and over and over again, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a conservative. I said it like more times than you can possibly imagine. And then then every time I would say something that wasn't socially conservative, what I would hear is, "You're still a leftist." Well, I never joined your team. Never joined it. You never appealed to me. You had hissy fits over everything. You didn't want to compromise. Your biggest goal in life was owning the libs. All I wanted to do in 2020 was get critical race theory out of schools. And Trump tried to do that, which is why he got my vote. Which party do you trust more to handle issues related to education in the schools? Independent, neither. Democrats hold an edge over the remaining half of independents, with 24% saying they trust the Democrats or strongly or somewhat, and only 18% siding with the Republicans. So check this out. Even though Democrats are actively forcing Marxism into schools, more independents support Democrat education policies than support Republican education policies. You want to know why that is? Republicans don't have education policies. What's to support? What are Republicans trying to do in schools? What's their plan? What's their strategy? What's their platform? Do you guys know how insane it is that independents, which should right now be the happy hunting ground of conservatives and Republicans on education-related policies, that independents are like, we will take the Marxist lunatics over the religious right that are trying to put the Bible in schools. If you have to choose between the two, Marxism and Christian theocracy, they're going to choose Marxism, guys. Exactly. Fucking Texas. Fucking Texas passed a bill about hanging the 10 Commandments in school. That's the hill you want to die on right now? I swear to God, I feel like I have been beating my head against the wall for like 3 years saying, here's what you need to do to win. Here's what you need to do to win. Here's how you get lefty votes. Here's how you earn Democrat votes. Here is how you pull votes away from the other side. Here's what you need to do. And instead, like every single day, it's like, no, we just want to own the libs and fuck you. You're not conservatives. Get off our team. We don't want anything to do with you. You're a libtard. You're voting for them. Every single day, I'm like, okay, well, elections are won by getting votes, folks. Elections are won by getting votes. And I know I have no influence on the conservative right because, well, they're morons. No offense, conservatives who are listening to me. If you're listening to me, that doesn't apply to you. You're not a moron if you're listening to me. But most of them are going to go, you're a leftist. I'm like, I'm literally handing you the keys to the kingdom on how you win elections, guys. Literally handing them to you. So I guess we're going to see over the next, year and a half or so how badly Republicans really want to win and what they're willing to do to get votes and what they're not willing to do to get votes. But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of faith right now. I don't know. I'm pretty black pilled. Is anyone else feeling a little black pilled? How are you guys doing? Let me check in with the chat. Guys, just as a reminder, we do have a private supporter call coming up at 7 p.m. in about half an hour. If you would like your link to the private supporter call, if you are a supporter on my Substack, what you need to do is to go to this newsletter, which was posted yesterday. It's called the Unwoke Roundup. And at the bottom of the newsletter, you got to scroll all the way down. There is a supporter perk section that is going to be under a red bar if you are not a subscriber. But at the bottom of the newsletter, you are going to find your links to the community Zooms. We do supporter community Zooms that are private, unrecorded Zoom calls on Mondays at 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays at noon. Monday's call is called Marathon Monday. It goes for a really long time. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about, you know, bitch and complain about what's going on in the world. A lot of people looking like they're blackpilled in the chat right now. That's really great. You know, I think the thing that bothers me the most is Republicans and conservatives have quite literally everything they need in order to be able to win. They really do. They have everything they need in order to win. They have it all there. It's laid out. It's very clear what needs to happen to any independent thinking person. And it's like you can give it to them covered in gold. And they're still not going to take it. And we know they're not going to take it because they would rather whine and complain and watch their child be indoctrinated in schools and watch the world descend into a Marxist utopia. So all we can do in the meantime is, I guess, sit back and enjoy the show. And that's all we can do. And that's what I try to do on this channel, guys. On the cult, I try to give you the real deal. I try to not to sugarcoat it. I tell you the truth. I tell you exactly what you need to hear. And I give it to both sides. If you think I've been down on Republicans today when I'm actually trying to get you to win, come back for another day. I will shit on the left tomorrow. I promise you that. But guys, that is all I have for the show today. If you would like to support the work I'm doing, please mount that like button on the way out the door. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are not already. I do want to thank everyone for the increased amount of likes and comments that I've been seeing on my YouTube videos lately. It is really helping the algorithm. So please make sure that you are watching videos, liking videos. If you cannot afford, see, we still got Alpha Eagle here. Alpha Eagle, you are banning books, bro. We know you're banning books. We can see in front of us. Stop fucking lying. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But guys, I do want to say thank you for the increased engagement that I've been seeing on my content lately. It is really helping out. I knew you guys were always there, and sometimes you just need a reminder. But if you want to help me out, definitely mount the like button, leave a comment on the video, even if you disagree with me, fine, whatever. But it is what it is, I suppose. All right, I'm going to go take a little bit of a break. I'm going to get some dinner, and I will see my supporters in our private call starting in about 20 minutes. And again, if you are a supporter on Patreon or Locals, I will be posting the Zoom link there. If you are a supporter on Substack, then the Zoom link is in the Unwoke Roundup newsletter where I send them out each week on Sunday. And yeah, I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Take care. We'll see you soon. See, they argue and argue and argue all the way out the door. Alpha Eagle, I cannot wait to watch you lose. I cannot wait to watch you lose every single election for the rest of your life because you do not deserve to win.